deserves your attention. Ironheart deserves your attention.
With the Ironheart series already labeled as a major ratings disaster for both Marvel Studios and the Walt Disney Company, we have those like Bob Iger, Kevin Feige, and even Dominique Thorne heading into complete damage control to really take control of the situation, and so far that has worked to no avail. Well, this is exactly what's been going on now, to the point where Bob Iger and Kevin Feige are getting involved in a lot of drama.
Yes. Marvel's Ironheart, the show no one wanted, no one watched, and yet Disney parades it like it's cinematic gold. Welcome to a twisted new age, where corporate pride bulldozes logic, where every misfire is sold as innovation, and where the audience is manipulated harder than a magician at a scam convention. Ironheart isn't just a misstep, it's a spectacular, cringeworthy case study in what happens when real storytelling is tossed aside for performative politics.
Going out there from the media that you are just a racist if you don't like Ironheart. The reason it's getting this backlash, the reason it's getting bad reviews, the reason that fans don't like what they see, it's just because all the damn racists out there, Jay. It's MAGA trolls, it's racist, it's blah, blah, blah. Well, we finally have our first hint of what this show is performing like when it comes to the numbers. Spoiler alert, kind of exactly what we expect. Ironheart ratings in the gutter.
Marvel used to craft icons. Now it's handing out lectures like TED Talks with capes and Ironheart. It's the crash course no one signed up for. But here's the real twist. Even with tanking interest, dead air engagement, and viewers vanishing, like Phase 4 logic, Disney's execs are toasting like it's opening night at Cannes. Want to see what happens when glossy promos overshadow real storytelling? Buckle up. We're diving headfirst into the chaotic remains of Ironheart, a series so out of touch it borders on accidental art. So what happened? How did we go from Iron Man snapping destiny to Riri stumbling through a legacy she never earned?
Now, focusing on the whole situation between Bob Iger, Kevin Feige, and RDJ, and exactly what's going on here in the midst of the ratings disaster, well, it only gets worse for Marvel at this point, because you guys may recall when they forced Robert Downey Jr., they made a deal with him to take part in the press tour to prop up Riri Williams, played by Dominique Thorne, on multiple talk show programs out there, a lot of which were, of course, affiliated with Disney. We'll talk more about that down the road.
Here's the brutal truth. There was never any real hunger for Ironheart. Not in comic stores, not in fandom forums, not even among casual Marvel watchers. She wasn't born from passion. She was built in a boardroom, engineered to tick every corporate box. Her comic flopped twice, canceled due to sheer indifference. Still, Disney charged ahead as if Riri was destined to inherit Tony Stark's throne. But real fans, they see through the smoke. Legacy isn't manufactured. Passion isn't a filter. Iron Man's journey was cinematic brilliance. Riri's, it feels like a Wikipedia entry dragged out across 6 hollow episodes.
Yeah, and it's like the real Tony Stark. It's like back somehow, and there's like a moment where she's flying through, and he's like, "Who is that?" And she's like, "I'm Ironheart, Mr. Stark." And he's like, "I like that girl." And then he goes to do something else. That would be the level of something that I think would possibly happen.
Disney thought it could reverse engineer audience loyalty, but instead of beginning with a story that mattered, they led with a diversity checklist, and now they're stunned it fell flat. This wasn't an accident. It was a script written in denial. Let's talk Riri Williams, or as marketing insists, the next genius of the MCU. But what did we actually get? A lead with zero emotional depth, no meaningful risks, and no earned place in the universe. She was dropped into like a promo code. No build-up, no arc, just center stage without the spotlight ever belonging to her. Riri doesn't feel like a hero. She feels like a studio memo turned human, portrayed by Dominique Thorne, who, rather than connecting with viewers, seemed more invested in Twitter brawls than building real fan rapport.
They have Dominique Thorne, going out there talking about DEI, LGBTQ rights, and how there's no agenda there, and she continues to do so. But the other thing is that they also had Robert Downey Jr., and they had him roll out and really kind of prop the show up. and prop the character of Riri Williams up above Tony Stark.
Riri Williams is the blueprint for forced relevance. Instead of earning her place, the writing simply commands you to care. We're constantly told she's brilliant, but never shown why. She delivers surface-level speeches about injustice with no real growth, no pain, no cracks in the armor. She's wrapped in metal but hollow inside. Marvel once gave us icons: Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, characters who failed, who bled, who changed. Riri. She arrives in a Wakandan suit with all the depth of a search engine result. No grit, no journey, no soul. And audiences can sense that. Because flashy tech, snarky lines, and trendy hashtags can never replace authentic storytelling. Now let's talk about the man pulling the strings. Bob Iger, Disney's CEO, now starring in his own corporate meltdown. While Ironheart sinks, what does Iger do? He doesn't engage with fan backlash or admit the obvious. The show failed. No, he launches a well-polished distraction, the press release. It's a carefully worded corporate script claiming Ironheart is a massive win, that everything's on track, it's theater. Like watching someone rearrange the deck chairs on a sinking ship and calling it strategy. Viewership numbers, hidden. Fan response, icy cold. And yet Disney clings to the illusion of success, because on paper, the boxes are checked. But here's the punchline. Bob Iger himself admitted there are times when diversity, equity, and inclusion matter more than story. It's not a rumor, that's a quote. And within that one sentence lies the core of the issue. The very heartbeat of what made Marvel magical has been shoved aside. Disney isn't just bleeding cash, it's bleeding trust. It's because when a company trades meaning for messaging, it stops being a storyteller and ... it becomes a lecture. Let's be clear, representation isn't the problem. No one's upset that the lead is a black female genius. What stings is the lazy writing, the flat characters, the hollow narrative. True representation means crafting deep, believable people who just happen to be diverse, not shoving identities into a template and declaring it groundbreaking. Ironheart isn't telling a story, it's pushing a product. Riri Williams isn't molded through struggle, growth, or emotional depth. She's labeled brilliant from the start, then drops monologues about oppression between clunky one-liners. There's no transformation, no earned moments. She floats scene to scene, not as a person, but as a brand mascot. And here's the reality check. Even voices from the LGBTQ+ community and people Disney claims to represent are calling the show shallow and condescending. That's the alarm bell. Fans don't crave checkbox avatars or walking agendas. They want heroes, flawed, human, powerful heroes they can actually believe in. Real inclusivity doesn't shout, "Look how inclusive we are." Simply tells a good story where everyone fits naturally. It's where Ironheart crashes and burns. It confuses pandering with progress and audiences. They see straight through it. What happened to Marvel? There was a time it meant greatness, when fans camped out for midnight premieres and every release felt like an event. But now, Ironheart is just the latest signal flare. The soul is gone. The decline didn't begin here, but this is rock bottom. Marvel used to blend humor, heart, and risk into unforgettable stories. Characters like Iron Man, Cap, and Thor stuck with us because they were layered, wounded, real. Today's heroes feel prepackaged, sterilized, shallow. Designed to serve a message, and it's not just opinion, the numbers back it. Ratings are down. Merchandise sits untouched. The fan base, fractured. No TikTok trend, PR puff piece, or hashtag campaign can rewrite reality. Marvel isn't building worlds anymore. It's delivering lectures. They've gone from "I am Iron Man" to "I am marginalized." Now clap. That's not story. That's not cinema. That's agenda in a costume. And that's exactly why. Lifelong fans are on, so fans walk away. Because the moment Marvel decided that messaging mattered more than mythology, it stopped being a universe and turned into a megaphone. Let's destroy the laziest take in this entire conversation. If You dislike Ironheart? You must be racist or sexist. No, just no. People aren't rejecting Ironheart because they can't handle a black woman in a suit. They're rejecting it because it's hollow, poorly crafted, and painfully out of sync with what made Marvel great. The fans aren't bigots, they're burnt out. Burnt out on endless sermons disguised as scripts. Tired of being emotionally blackmailed for simply wanting escapism. Exhausted from watching beloved franchises twisted into tools for virtue signaling, when valid critique is dismissed as hate. Growth dies. That's how you get a show like Ironheart, where the real diversity, the kind that includes style, thought, and storytelling, is nowhere to be found. The backlash isn't from trolls, it's from lifelong supporters, comic fans, film lovers. And yes, even from the communities Ironheart pretends to uplift. They're not demanding less inclusion, they're pleading for better inclusion. They want complex characters, not walking slogans. They want real arcs, not finger-wagging lectures. And when they don't get that, they tune out, not out of hate, but heartbreak. Here's the question Marvel refuses to ask. Why do we keep failing? Because they've sealed themselves inside a smug echo chamber where criticism is hate, disagreement is bigotry, and mediocrity is celebrated as long as it checks the right box. The execs don't care about canon or character evolution. The writers don't speak the fans' language. They chase Twitter clout instead of timeless stories. Ironheart is what happens when Hollywood hires for identity over storytelling skill. When ideology replaces imagination. When legacy is reduced to a formula and they hope no one notices. But the fans always notice, and instead of listening, Marvel doubles down. They shame the fans. They rewrite the narrative. They insist you just don't get it, while their ratings collapse and their relevance vanishes. This isn't brave storytelling. This is brand suicide, slow, proud, and completely blind. Ironheart isn't just a failed show. It teases the symptom of a franchise that's lost its soul, in a studio that no longer sees its fans. This was never about politics. It's not about race, gender, or diversity. It's about sincerity, craft, and honoring what came before. Marvel once gave us legends, heroes who earned their legacy through failure, growth, and heart. Ironheart skips all of that, offering a shell in place of a successor. And the fans. They're not rejecting change, they're rejecting mediocrity. They want quality, they want soul. They want characters that feel human, stories that feel real, and worlds that pull them in, not preach to them. The solution isn't radical, it's simple. Hire writers who cherish the lore. Build characters from scratch, not templates. Stop chasing viral moments. Start chasing meaning. Till then, shows like Ironheart will continue to crash, not because of who the hero is, but because those creating her don't seem to care. And the audience will keep walking away, not out of hatred, but out of heartbreak, because they remember. If I remember